Welcome everybody to Virtual Coffee with Software Equity Group. Really excited today. We're gonna have a great conversation around sales. And I'm excited to introduce Andrea Pitts, who's the Senior Vice President of Global Sales at Arena Solutions. So Andrea, first and foremost, welcome.
Thank you.
You've got your water, of course.
Yes, because we're on the best coast, the East Coast.
Well, definitely, it's seemingly a healthier coast than the West Coast in today's COVID world.
Yeah.
So, Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about this conversation. Sales is, for me and the clients that I work with in so many of these SaaS and cloud businesses, often amazing product, but very frequently sales and marketing departments that are not operating on all cylinders. And so my hope is today that you'll be able to provide some insights that could be very helpful to that cohort of software businesses that are out there. But let's start with this. Let's start with a brief background, maybe introduce yourself and provide a brief intro to Arena Solutions.
Perfect. So I have been in sales leadership, building sales teams, sales development teams for a very long time. I think the years, frankly, don't matter. So let's just not talk about that. But for the last 10 years, specifically, whether it's Arena, where I am now, or Oracle, which is where I was prior to that, just building teams that are selling cloud enterprise applications. So it's more of a complex sale, but really my world has been in SMB, in the SMB space. So when I'm talking about any experiences today, primarily it's going to be in that SMB space. What Arena does is we provide enterprise application product lifecycle management. For those of you that know PLM, this is an enterprise application that allows innovative product companies to automate product development processes. What's really exciting for me, frankly, is that right now during these COVID times, a number of our medical device customers actually are on the front lines building products that help with diagnostics, help with even just the vials. So we're really proud of the work that we do and the work that our customers do. So our goal is to just make them as successful as possible.
Fantastic. Awesome. We'll keep it up. The world is going to be a better place because of solutions like that and better healthcare for all of us. So you guys took an investment from JMI.
We did.
And I'm curious, what's been the impact that investment has made on sales and marketing?
Yeah, it's been pretty huge, actually, very big. It's been very exciting. It's been a great marriage, frankly. We did a lot of change. I think we're going to talk a little bit about and go in the weeds here in a moment and talk a little bit about the sausage making. But the end result, when they invested, when we started working together, we were able to, by making some pretty drastic changes within that had all to do with going after the right target audience, that right TAM. We very quickly, frankly, within the first year, saw our ASPs double, and in some cases triple. We saw our CAC immediately, our customer acquisition costs immediately go down. We saw our gross bookings. We were already doing pretty good with bookings, so that wasn't a huge issue. But our retention rates, we kind of hung out in the mid 80s, and pretty immediately we got to 91% and greater. So all of these KPIs that we were very, very in tune with, that we were kind of going along with, not horrible, it surely was not a bad business at all. It was pretty profitable, although I think we did get to cash positive, but since we got with JMI and putting in some of the changes that they had suggested that they brought to us, it's been outstanding. We hit many of our key metrics in that first year, which is really exciting.
Okay, so that's interesting to me, but just JMI walking in the door didn't allow that to happen. So certainly they pushed you guys and they created some best practices. What are the two areas where they really helped your team?
Yeah, I am probably going to get it down to one area because it was the best, the most, and it's the one that I'm most familiar with as well. And that really had to do with segmentation. You know, and I know on previous coffee talks, you've had discussions around segmentation. And, you know, at the time we were a 110-person company. So, you know, we're not a huge organization. But prior to JMI walking in the door, we sold to anybody. If you were making a product and you came to us and you thought product lifecycle management could help you, we didn't really care what you sold or what you made. We're going to help you, and we're going to sell you our product. Turns out that when we did some analysis, which was one of the first things that JMI did in this segmentation approach, is understand the data, understand the customers or the makeup of the customers that have purchased from you over a period of time. So we looked at the last 10 quarters of new revenue and where did it come from? We had 89 industries that we had previously sold to. You know, that canoe company that came to us, we sold to them. Violin company came to us. They needed document management and some control over their manufacturing. We sold to them. So we were all over the place. And our volume was high. You know, we could post 40 to 60 sometimes new logos, new customers every quarter, but that didn't mean it was good business. So as we started to segment our customers and segment that data, we saw very quickly that over 90% of our new revenue came from 14 industries, not 89, 14.
Wow.
By the way, it was painful. I'm not going to lie, because I think everyone needs to understand that. The good news is we didn't have to go back 5 years, because you know, the farther you go back, the dirtier your data. So we went back 10 quarters. We took a look at that revenue and where you know, who are we selling to really? Turns out that those same sort of metrics applied when you looked at our customer base. 85 to 90% of our customer base fell within those 14 industries. The rest were the canoe companies, the violin companies, and the so on and so forth. When we did further analysis of that 10 or 15% of those other industries, the retention rates were in the low 70s. It was bad business for us. The revenue looked good, but they didn't stick around. Right. And we spent a lot of time trying to sell to them as well. So we basically segmented and took this segmentation approach throughout sales. And what I mean by that is I segmented the sales reps. So we took those 14 industries, we got them into, frankly, 2 target areas, high-tech consumer products and med device. And we basically segmented the sales reps as well. So at that point then, we went over to customers and we segmented our customers. So we could, whatever kind of customer marketing we might do, we would also segment them, and we would make sure that we're selling the right products to our right customers. It's not that we didn't forget about the 15%, but we really tried hard to change the organization to map to those 14 industries, or those 2 key verticals. The result was pretty extreme and pretty fast. I will tell you though, as a sales leader, when you're taking a look at the marketing pipeline that's being generated, and for years you're looking at millions of dollars of pipeline being generated, and all of a sudden that first quarter, Alan, that first quarter of segmentation, where we're really going to just only concentrate on marketing to these 2 verticals, our lead generation took a dive. And I was like, oh my God, how are we ever going to make our revenue this year? Because I would ask our JMI friends and some of the consultants working with me, I was like, dude, you better be right on this, because this is going to be painful. I've changed everyone's territory. Yeah, I've changed everyone's territory. I've now got sales reps that are only doing med device. They can't sell to everybody. And it better be right, because I was just like, oh man, this is going to be really bad. But I got to tell you, we surpassed our bookings targets. We hit our the gross retention target that we were going to hit by year 4. We hit it in year 1. We, for the first time ever, we had sales reps hitting their quota on a consistent basis.
Wow.
So we had 65% of our team that year make a President's Club, and we actually put one in. We had a trip that people could go to. So, oh, by the way, we raised quotas. So that was the other thing. So sales team, not only am I going to focus you in a certain area, you don't get to sell to everybody. We're going to give you, you can only sell in this particular territory. We're going to raise your quotas too. It was not fun. It was not fun. But everyone started to see and have more fun selling to the target audience that was open to our messaging, that we knew we could fix their problems and we would be very impactful to their business. The results were pretty extreme pretty quickly. And we got through about 3 or 4 months of, oh my God, this better work, to, wow, this is really working. And it really gets back down to segmentation. Analyze that data.
It goes back to the conversation I had with SaaS Optics. It sounds so simple.
Yeah.
It's not simple.
It's not.
But at the end of the day, we've been told in our entire business careers, focus, focus, focus. And I got to tell you, if you're a sales VP or head, take what Andrea just said and play that back 5 times and just keep listening to it. There was so much information and valuable content in what you just said that it's, again, play it back 5 times. We could have a whole hour-long conversation just on that, but I want to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you can't measure the data, you have nothing to segment. So it all starts with being able to get the information into the systems such that they can produce the data that you can analyze to do the segmentation.
Yeah.
And what I find so frequently is this lack of information from the sales departments. Their inability or their lack of willingness to enter information into, say, a CRM system such that you can properly measure things. How did you overcome that hurdle? Or perhaps that was something that wasn't a hurdle for Arena.
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh, we have over 20 years of sales data in our CRM. Woo! So this is a bad thing. It's not a great thing. It doesn't mean, oh my gosh, you've got so much data to analyze. No. But what we did know, luckily, we had some foresight to think that we needed to make sure we tracked industry because we knew we were selling to everyone. This is Arena 1.0, not Arena JMI 2.0. And so we did have that foresight, but one of the things that is really important that we found is that it's so important to identify the key data, the key metrics that departments need to track. So finance, what's the key data you need? Marketing, what's the key data, so on and so forth. What do we want to track to get our metrics? And you're going to find, as you take that input, everyone wants to track everything. And then you gather that input, you cut it in half, and you determine the most. Now, finance has a big say in that, right? But you lock down those fields that you need to make sure no one screws up, but keep it to a minimum. And then you determine the fields that you absolutely must have. In our world, we adopted MEDDIC, which is the MEDDIC methodology allowed us to be very consistent in the sales cycle, SDR conversations, make sure that we track that. So we had drop downs to track and report on, and then we had, free form notes to go with that. But we do all sorts of analysis on that drop down. We do, if we're looking at competition, what are their buying criteria and all of those sorts of things. So we look at that a lot. That was important to track. And it's up to sales management to keep the sales reps honest, to make sure that on their weekly calls and their weekly discussions, we go straight to MEDDIC to see, okay, this is what's going on. Has anything changed here? So, don't expect what you don't inspect. Very important motto. The other thing that we did is we time-stamped every part of the sales cycle. That was huge. We did that a number of years ago prior to JMI, but bringing in JMI and all of their expertise allowed us to very quickly start getting those reports and seeing those dashboards that would give us the conversion rates that we needed on a consistent basis. And so I can know whether it be at the sales rep level or at the total group level. I could even break it down to industry if I wanted to. What is the conversion of a qualification opportunity and into discovery? Is that low? Is that high? Are we being too strict on the kind of qualification data? And then what reps are having struggles on their conversion between a discovery, which is frankly where I think sales are won or lost, a really good discovery, and then move them into a developed solution. So we know where reps are struggling, and then so on and so forth. If you can get those core bits of data, you can just cut that data all over the place and analyze all sorts of things as it relates to your sales cycle, which will target your sales management team. Where do we need to optimize? Where do we need to improve? Where can we help reps get better? And those are the two things that we did. We adopted Medic. We report on that. We talked to that when we did QBRs the other day. I had it up on my screen so I could be asking questions and digging in where I needed to dig in. And then we put timestamp on things to make sure that you can track really important metrics.
And then you're obviously inspecting it, and then you're managing to it.
Exactly.
And then it becomes part of your culture, if you will.
It is, absolutely.
Awesome. So we discussed in the past this concept of selling in the weeds, where sales reps are often focused on selling products and features.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned to me at one point that that was something that you thought about or may have been doing. Talk about how you've evolved from the concept of, quote, selling in the weeds, and maybe also what does selling in the weeds mean to you?
Yeah, that's a really great concept, and I've enjoyed talking to you about it because I like to look back and see the areas that I was bad at, my teams were bad at, or whatever. You learn more from a loss than a win anyway, but and it's easy in my industry to get into the weeds, and I'm sure every other industry as well. I've been in PLM, selling in manufacturing, selling to engineering, and it's so easy to get in the weeds because that's where they like to play. The target audience likes to play. And so you start talking about feature functionality, which is not the place to go. So one of the things that we've worked very hard on is just raising the level of conversation. And I am maniacal about role-based and value-based selling and combining those two. So if I am having a conversation with an engineer, and the reason I would have a conversation with the engineer is to understand where are those issues. My conversation is completely different, and what I'm going to concentrate on those areas of value that we can help that engineer with. If I'm talking to the manager, it's similar but much different conversation as well, because they have different things that they are tasked with, they are measured on, and so on and so forth. So instead of understanding what they do in their job every day, understand what's keeping them from being able to do their job. What are those things getting in the way, and make sure that you can tie it back to the value that you provide. I love having conversations with managers. Give me a COO, give me a head of operations, a head of manufacturing, or whatever. The first thing you need to know is that, or recall or remember, is that their bonus relies on certain things to take place, certain successes to take place. Every sales rep should always know in your mind where these people are going to be bonused, because that's really where you're going to get their attention. Right. And so those are the kinds of things that we talk a lot about. And then let's bridge over to marketing. We have a lot of conversations with marketing to start preparing and doing role-based nurturing, role-based outreach sequences, and so on. So we're getting better there, and I'm really excited to see how that helps with the conversion of some of the nurturing that we do have in place. Role-based, value-based is where it all is. And I preach that. We preach that daily.
So avoid the features. If you see their eyelids start to fall.
Oh, yeah. And that might get us into our next conversation, because I am thinking the way that we do business now in this COVID world is the way of the future for sales. I'm gonna throw it out there to the universe because I believe it. So okay, I don't want to steal your thunder.
Then let's do that. So in this COVID world, how have traditional sales been impacted? Mm-hmm. And then what do you think is going to be the new norm going forward?
Yeah, I love our conversations about this, by the way, recently. Because I feel pretty strongly that the way salespeople are now having to sell makes them raise their game. And I love that.
Yeah.
If you're a lazy salesperson, this is not a good time for you. Not a good time. So, the fact is that in our world, and even back in the Oracle days, most of our selling was done remotely anyway. We were big WebEx users back in the Oracle days. We recently went to Zoom over the past year or so. And, so that isn't a foreign concept to us. What was foreign was being on camera, right? It was rare that you saw people on camera.
Right.
Well, now with Zoom and the fact that everybody is in their remote location, wherever that is, people are now getting on camera. And that is, I think that is changing drastically how we are now communicating. And we're embracing it. I'm really excited about it. And let me tell you why. So I was on a Zoom call, Zoom sales call, maybe a month ago or so. And we had a number of people that had joined in on that call. So you have all these, faces looking at you. And unlike you sitting in a conference room doing a presentation, you could see everyone's reaction. You could see the director of engineering kind of roll his eyes. You could see the senior engineer like do one of those shake their heads, I don't even realize I'm shaking my head thing. I'm telling you, in a conference room, you miss those things. And especially me as an executive sitting in a conference room, I've been brought in to probably buy lunch or make a love connection with an executive. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting here like with everyone else around the conference room. I am not able to see what other people are, what they're doing, nor is my sales rep, nor is my technical person. This has just changed the way we sell it, and it allows us to raise our game. It allows us to be more personal. I'm having much better personal conversations, and when I mean personal, professional conversations with the people that we do Zoom calls with. I'm loving it. Obviously, for the larger deals, we still want to find those opportunities to go on site when we can go on site. Because I do believe for the larger deals, there is greatness in those face-to-face connections, and we'll get back to that. Sure. But I just think this has changed the way that everyone's selling. Love the fact it's requiring sales reps to raise their game, and I think it's the wave of the future. I do not believe, plus it's inexpensive. I mean, our cost of sale, based on the traveling budget that is now hasn't been used in months, is looking really good right now.
Yeah, an interesting thing, I was on a call yesterday with a group that was doing a reference check on a PE firm. And so they were asking me some questions. And one of the questions that they asked me was, what's it like running a deal across from a PE firm in this COVID world? And how are they interacting with your client in this COVID world? Is it less personal because they're not traveling? And I said, it's really interesting is that I think if you sum it all up, it actually might be more personal. And the reason why is you would have attended the management meeting and you would have been there in the room and you would have gone and had dinner. But every other call for the preceding 2 months or whatever it was, and anyone that's going to follow, would have just been an audio call. And now, like you said, it's video. And so they've been on video calls with these prospective sellers for months, and they're always seeing each other and interacting. And while, yes, they were lacking that 1 day experience where they had the management meeting and the dinner, mm-hmm. all those other smaller pieces may sum up to more than what you had when you just had that 1 day. And so it's fascinating to see how it's working. I totally agree with what you said. I do think it changes everything. Yeah. But what about, you better be video ready?
Yeah. Get that COVID beard cut, right?
Hey, it's
you did good today. You cleaned up for today.
I did. I put on a collared shirt, put on a watch. right?
Wow.
I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, you gotta be ready. The thing is that you could look very professional and have jammy pants on. We would never know. So, I think, but that's okay. I had a video conversation. I'm an executive sponsor for a deal that we sold last month, and we had just a quick catch-up Zoom call, and she had just come in from running or something, and her hair was askew and all mess, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I just came in from running, but let's get going." And I mean, she's feeling good, we're feeling good. It just personalizes, and obviously you have to. I encourage everyone to go there, take that little extra step to try to personalize it. And one of the things I always like to do before I get on Zoom with anyone or on a call with anyone is find out where they went to school. Were they an athlete? Are they part of the Pac-12, the Big Ten? Whatever. Find that thing, make that connection, and it just smooths everything out. Now, you would have done that face to face, but I just think it means more, and people feel more personal. You're not sitting in a conference room where everyone's kind of uncomfortable and you can't see everyone's face. Yeah. I think it's great.
Well, listen, I'm extremely grateful. Software Equity Group is extremely grateful. I really hope for those that watch this, that you'll take the time to think about what Andrea's shared with us today, because it's really important. But also, forward along to your friends in sales and marketing, forward along to other CEOs that are running software businesses, because I got to tell you, as I said when I started this session today, we see so many great companies with great product, but they struggle on sales and marketing. You don't need we all learned our case study in business school, VHS versus beta. Which one was better? They say beta was better, but VHS sold more. For the younger people that are listening to this, they have no idea what I just said. No idea. But that being said, sales and marketing is vitally important, and it is not easy. And doing what Andrea shared with us today, even some of the small things are going to make your business much, much better. And then you're going to get the benefits of that retention and that focus and those efficiencies. So, Andrea, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yellowstone. Cheers.
Woo! Good to be with you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.